First it was Trayvon. No, it
Hey,
was
hello everyone. Welcome to
or was it
season 5, episode 6 of Life Story Podcast. I hope that you're all doing well. I'm excited about doing this podcast. I know it's been a while since the last one. But before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been listening. We know that we have folks listening really just all over the world. So for that, I am thankful. We don't take you guys for granted. You know, there's so much else you could be doing with your time. So thank you. This episode is going to be titled Promised Land. And it's an interesting one, but stick with us and we'll try to make it make sense. The idea came to me as the first verse shows. When it says first it was Trayvon, no, it was Malcolm, or was it Martin? My memory fails me sometimes. I'm sure George didn't know he was next. You can tell these names are synonymous with the lives of Black people in the United States. But this episode is not going to be just about the lives of Black people in the United States. It's about the idea of a promised land. What does it mean? My first thought that I can maybe is relatable is, well, I've read the Bible many times in my life, and you can go back to the story of Abraham and how God made him a promise that he would give him and his descendants an inheritance. And when the children of Israel end up spending time in Egypt and then as slaves, and then eventually God says it's time to go back to the land that I promised Abraham, and that land was the land of Canaan. It's a physical, tangible thing that you can actually say there is a physical allotment of land that's mine, so I'm gonna get that. And I couldn't help but also think of my ancestors and their fight to reclaim the land that had been taken from them under colonialism. Now, this would be a land that their ancestors would have said, it's ours, and they would pass on to their children and their children's children. And at some point, someone took that from them, but the people never lost that connection to the land, and they went after it, and they said, no, we're going to fight, even if it means to the death. We'll fight to reclaim what's ours. And then I was also thinking about the one time that I was in New York in 2018. I was celebrating my 40th birthday with a friend, and we went to visit the Statue of Liberty. And when you get on the ferry to go there, there's this poem, the famous poem that people talk about. Give me your this and that. And when you read that about the masses coming in, the hard-old masses, and you're thinking about all those folks, their eyes focused on this one thing, this one dream, the idea of America, of the United States of America, and the hopes that they carried with them, that let me just get there and something good is bound to happen. And then I also wanted to not disregard for what is for me the biggest promised land, which is the eternal life that comes after this one. the hope that I have in my salvation through Jesus Christ, that the life after this one is what I want more than anything else. But that's not what the poem was really talking about. The poem for me was not about the politics. It was about what the mind struggles with. When it's captured in a moment, like that George Floyd moment, I'm sure a lot of people throughout the world heard about it. That I think one of the biggest takeaways was when he says, "I can't breathe," and we all can relate to being in a situation that, like, all hope is gone. Hope is slipping from you. You may have expected good things, good outcomes, but maybe where you are in a situation, in a moment, is not where you had hoped to be. The story of Trayvon Martin, that also happened in my earlier years here in the United States, and it's the idea of, what do others see when they look at me, and how does that impact who I believe myself to be? I had an incident, let's say around 2006, 2007. I just gotten married, and my wife and I stopped from visiting friends. We stopped at a gas station. It was one of those days when you could still pump and then pay after. So I pumped gas, and then I went inside the store to pay. And when I went in, I tried to hand the lady behind the counter the money, so she could give me change. But instead of putting her hand out there to take my money, she just kept her hands away. And it wasn't one of those situations where there's a glass divider, or some of those with a little tray, you put your money in and then you slide it. No, it was just open. So she could have easily just extended her hand, accepted my cash, but she didn't. So I stood there, and then I just eventually put my cash on the counter, and then she took it, and then she did her transaction, and then she was holding my change, and I put my hand out there, and she just held her hands back. Then I pulled my hand back, and then she put the money down, and then I grabbed my money, and then I walked out. And it reminded me of a song by Sade where she talks about her dad, her father, experiencing something similar, where folks, I'm assuming this would be white folks in England, in the UK, would not touch his hand. I am already in America. I'm doing well. I'm married. By all measures, I am attaining the promise. Maybe I haven't grabbed a hold of all of it yet, but by all measures, by all appearances, I was getting to it. And another story comes to my mind years before I met my wife. So sometime before 2004, I'll maybe go back to 2002 or 1. I'd gotten a job in a nursing home as a nurse's aide. And this is not a glamorous job. I know plenty of people who've worked this job. Plenty still work this work. It's hard work. A lot of immigrants work this job. And we do it because, it helps. You get integrated, to earn a paycheck. You can afford life on, at least back then I could afford to live on the salary that I was making. But on this particular job, on day one, I show up for work and I have a lady I'm supposed to take care of. The job is I get there at a certain time. I help the residents get ready for the day, get them prepped for breakfast. Some of them I will help with breakfast. After that, help them get about throughout the day, get them down for showers, shaving, grooming, staying clean throughout the day, help with breakfast, lunch, if I'm there for a double shift, maybe supper, and then help them with getting ready for bed. That's my day if I'm working, let's say a double shift. So it's not a glamorous job. It's a really hard job. It can be a back-breaking job because, we as humans, we come in all shapes and sizes, and you don't get to choose who you're going to help, But this one lady, she was a smallish kind of lady. And the moment I walked into a room, oh boy, she was not happy to see me. She shooed me out of that room so fast, yelled and told my trainer that day, a guy named Brian, who actually becomes one of my best friends, one of the best friends I ever made in America, tells him, no way, I'm not going to let that man help me. And Brian's like, no way, Pearl. The lady's name was Pearl. He says, no way, Pearl. This guy is hired to do his job, and you're going to have to let him do his job. And they have to call in the charge nurse on our shift. And she's like, no, we're not doing this. Let this man do his work. And then if he fails, that's one thing. So she won't let me help her throughout the day. So, Brian has been doing my job with this lady. And towards the end of the day, it's time to help her get ready for bed. And it's the same thing. So she asks the nurse to call her niece, and they call the niece. The niece comes into the facility and she's like, Auntie Pearl, what's going on? And Pearl is like, I won't let this man touch me. I don't want his help. And Pearl is like, you can't choose your help. You're going to have to give this guy a chance to do his job. They hired him, so, we have to give him a chance. So reluctantly, Pearl allows me to be her aide. But I'll tell you that by the time I left that job, Pearl was one of my best, I don't want to say best friend, but we were so close. She actually signed a book. She had a book in her room that she had with her. And when I put in my 2-week notice and I was telling everybody, hey guys, I'm leaving. She wrote a message for me and she signed that book and she gave it to me. The beginning might not have looked like, hey, I'm in America, I'm living the dream, I'm taking care of these folks here, and they love me. That with Pearl, definitely not. But part of my goal in life is always to make a difference, have a positive impact on the lives of whoever I'm around. And I may have a vision of a promised land for me, but also I can see life through Pearl's eyes, Maybe her retirement, end of life experience that she had envisioned for herself did not include a guy like me, some African guy with dreadlocks. Whether I'm black or not, maybe that's not the issue. Maybe whether it's albinism, maybe that's not the issue. But maybe for a moment there, I interrupted that. But the thing is, we gave each other a chance. She gave me a chance to serve her in the way that she needed. And I gave her a chance to see me as a person and to watch me deliver, on a service that she was paying for. And I can tell you that for the kind of place where she was staying at, it was one of those that comes with expectations. It wasn't one of those rundown ones that is just run for profit. Lots of people in there. It was end of life care, but it was well managed. It was well presented. It was well manicured. It was a beautiful life that they were living, even under those circumstances. The troubling thing that I see, that my mind was looking at, thinking about Trayvon, a young black man whose life ended in a very unfortunate way because someone else decided that they had the power to end it. Or the story of Malcolm X, again, someone decide they don't like his message or what he's bringing to the table, or Dr. Martin Luther King. And I'm not saying these guys are perfect, just saying someone else decides that either they don't belong in their vision of a promised land, or they don't like the idea that this person stands for, as far as they may have their own vision, their own idea of what a promised land should be. That's what kind of caused my brain to think like this. The George Floyd situation, and I'm sure many people around the world who were old enough to take it in, the statement that he says when he says, "I can't breathe," and someone else is literally taking his breath away. Like, who gets to decide? Who gets to decide? Who gets to live and enjoy a vision of peace and prosperity, even if their version of that is not what you would choose? I know we have empowered, like our police and others, some of our leaders, to make some of those decisions. But at some point, the question is, whose promised land are we living in? Other figures that did not make it into the poem that I thought about would be someone like Gandhi in India, Nelson Mandela in South Africa. I thought about Schindler, because I think that's just a peculiar story there. I mean, I watched the movie when I was young. I might have watched it a couple more times. And I haven't really spent a lot of my time studying the man. That story it gives you hope that in a way, maybe we can put we may not put our own interests away, but we can see other people's interests as well. And maybe there's a way to marry what they are thinking with what we envision. And as a recent memory also, I was thinking about the Jamal Khashoggi, the Saudi journalist who, at the direction of some crown prince, whose life also ended. It's tough, man. These thoughts are not the easiest ones to have, but these are some thoughts that we have to process. I don't remember talking about my mother a lot with regards to these topics. And I'm bringing up my mother now because she is kind of the thread that runs through this project. But when I left home to come to America, and the few times I was able to get her to come and visit and stay with me, she saw certain things, and most of the things that I put in front of her to see are the beautiful things about this land, When we went out to eat, I took her to my favorite spots. When we, shopping, I took her to my favorite stores and those kinds of things. So she probably saw the version of the promised land maybe that she had also hoped for me, her child, that maybe I would get to experience. But I also know that there were instances there when we talked and something was a headline. And I cannot think of the moments where we specifically discussed either a Trayvon or George Floyd, but there are definitely times when things were not well, like 9/11, for example. I'm sure my discussion with her about 9/11 was, are you safe? What are they saying? Are you going to be okay? And ultimately it will be, hey, I'm praying for you, And that brings me to the second verse. It says, in the middle of the uprising, I prayed for a voice from heaven that tears would turn into smiles, a light to brighten up your world. During the Obama campaign, his first campaign, it was all about hope and change. People were going through some hard times, and similar to some of the experiences of our day to day, a lot of people were not achieving what they had set out to achieve. Things were getting out of reach. Right before Obama's election, during the campaign, there was a time when not both of them, but John McCain decided to suspend his campaign, rush back to Washington, and make a big, appearance with George Bush so they could talk about what was going on in the economy. And I know those are calculated moves. Yeah, supposed to show the nation that this guy cares about your pocketbook issues. But in a way, that's what we need sometimes, for our leaders to show us that our basic understanding of life is about what affects us, not the big government shutdown discussions. And I'm not saying government shutdowns don't affect us, but by the time we get to a government shutdown, so much more could have been done to help people. By the time we have a law or a bill that says we're going to take away some of the food benefits, healthcare benefits, so much more could have been done to help people shore up. At least let them. We are not just a collective of statistical facts. We are individuals. We have hopes and dreams. We have things that affect us, and sometimes we just want that to be what's on the front page, not what the political idea is. We just want to know the sick are going to be taken care of, the hungry are going to get fed, the homeless are going to get shelter, the children are going to get a good education. So hope and change should not be just a mantra. No one enjoys being hopeless. we all face challenges. And these are what in this poem I also refer to as uprisings. Big and small. And sometimes change in our circumstances is the cure. It's unfortunate that sometimes we spend so much time being pitted against each other, trying to find fault in my neighbor, why they don't deserve this. They are lazy. They're no good. But really, if we take time to look at it, they're driven with the same passions that I am. They want a good life for themselves. They want to see their children do well. They want the future to be better than the past. It's not because they want to take it from me. They just wanted a version of that for themselves. And they have an idea of a promised land that if I invest in their idea, they may invest in mine. But if I make them the enemy, then they may also become hostile to my interests. And there are several verses here that we're talking about Selma and Ferguson. This takes me back, obviously, to the Martin Luther and George Floyd thing. It talks about people being beaten, bruised, and broken, still undeterred. People marching on where hope is waiting. Then it says, you have come to the promised land. Their blood was the sacrifice. Now amazing grace is your comfort. I like that part, but I don't know that it's true. And I don't know that it's true for everyone. Because there's this thing that sometimes when people have been through hard times, they don't know how to stop fighting and enjoy the comfort that they fought so hard for. There's always some folks who have a fear that the little that they have earned might be taken away. So the way to overcome that is to always emphasize how hard it was to get what they got. I can see that tendency sometimes in me as a parent when I'm dealing with my children, and I try not to do it as much. But it's easy to say, you have no idea how well you have it now. When I came to this country, I slept on the floor. I ate 1 meal a day. Blah, blah, blah. I have a list of all my blood, sweat, and tears, all the stories I could tell. And that might explain why I do things a certain way. But my children are not born into my suffering as such. I brought them into this world and they're enjoying and reaping the benefits of what I have strived to become as a man. And I don't think they should be penalized for enjoying it and not acknowledging my sacrifices every day. Like, I don't think every time we sit down for dinner, the kids should be like, and Lord, we thank you for our father who endured so much hardship. You know how hard it was for him with that lady at the gas station that would not touch his hand. Let us never forget, how you felt small in that moment. I don't think that's how it ought to be. And I strongly believe that when I look at my children's future, I see that they themselves are going to have a vision of a promised land as well. What is it that they want to achieve with their lives? And maybe their struggles will be, I don't want to say easier, but will be different from mine. They won't look the same. They won't feel the same. But they also deserve the right to dream, to hope for a future, even if it's way better than mine, way better than what I've presented and provided for them. I think every man, every woman, child, male, boy, and girl deserves the right to think of a promised land, one where they can realize the fullness of, I'll say, their potential given to them by God. The next verse says, take a step towards freedom. Rise up and sing the song. Free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. And the emphasis here that I key on, my mind really keys on, is the rise up. I know there's a lot of, it's not imagery, but I'm borrowing here, right? Some phrasing that is common, the Martin Luther thing, free at last, thank God Almighty. But it's the rise up to me that matters the most. Take a step. You can't just imagine a promised land and not act upon it. The dreams are the driving, they're the fuel, but you still gotta act. Your dreams can be the driving force, you can write them down, but you still have to take actions. Promised lands just don't magically appear. Again, going back to my mother, the thread that, ties all these things together. Both her and my father were very practical people. We were not rich by any means in our house. My father was very hardworking. He worked with his hands. He was a collision repairman. If you had an accident in your vehicle, you brought it to my father. No matter what the shape was, he would straighten it out. He would put it back together. He would put a fresh coat of paint on it. And when the customer came back to pick it up, it looked good as brand new. My mother was the one who took dreams and turned them into reality. If we needed something and we told her what it was, down on her knees she would go. That's that prayer, that's lifting that voice to heaven. But after that, there was always an action plan. This is what we're going to do. The way I ended up here in America is not because this was my dream growing up, but this is an opportunity that came up. And of course, through prayer and planning, this is where I ended up. Those benefits to me, those benefits to my family, my presence here. Not like we're just going to go there and calculate how we're going to take advantage of the situation, but my life would, and did become better. Actions do matter. Her hopes and dreams for me, for the promise of a good future for me, led her to pray and to encourage me to take the steps that brought me here. Now the next verse says, your birthright is love with no regard to race. It is death and sin to hate one another. It is careless to take part in the destruction of hope. The race comes in just because it is a thing where in the world that we live in. But really, I think every birthright, the foundation of the birthright to the human race that everyone should be able to claim is to be loved, to be brought into a world where your parents love you, your community loves you, the friends you make, they love you. Wherever you go, you can take that with you. And I think the antidote, I don't know if that's the right word, but the opposite of that is this carelessness that we carry with us, where instead of letting love be the guiding principle, we want to destroy other people and raise up and just lift ourselves up. That's unfortunate that we live in a world where to hate someone is acceptable, to put people down is acceptable, to discriminate against someone's race, background is acceptable. I don't know how that makes us great again. I don't see how that makes us good. I think, again, going to my spiritual theme side, God is love. The destruction of hope for others is a carelessness that is the opposite of that. So, again, still talking about this promised land. What is the fun of getting to the promised land if you're going to be the only one there? And there's no one else to share that with? Where's the joy in that? The next verse says, drink freely from the river of peace. It will cause your soul to smile. Love every man like a brother. And when all has been said, and when all has been done, walk the way of love, and you will find a refuge for your soul. The Bible talks about love. Talks about loving God, loving your neighbor. Loving your neighbor as you love yourself. And it talks about a brother being born for adversity. The brother's purpose is to provide support, strength, and purpose during difficult times. And brothers cannot be limited to just your blood relatives. Some are only children. When this rich man comes to Christ and asks about what he must do, then they go through this loving God, loving your neighbor, and he says, who's my neighbor? We get to the story of the Good Samaritan, and it's just people who do good. You also do good. You can become the neighbor. You can be there for others. Help them, as they're finding their way to a good place. You can be someone who helps remove the roadblocks out of their way. Again, the next part says, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are good, let your mind rest on these things. Now, this is straight out of the Bible, by the way. So it's like a chant. I'm not saying it needs to be a chant. It's like a slogan. It's like something you can repeat. What are you investing in as part of your understanding of the promised land? For me as a parent, that's the question. Am I investing in guiding them in learning things that are true, pure, honest, just, lovely, good? Their promised land, their future will actually be better off if I can help them embrace these because this is who I want to be. This is the future that I want to build, because that's the foundation that I'm building on for them as well. When I was growing up in the early years of my childhood, even before I was going to school, it was soon after independence, and political activity was still kind of at a high. Like the ruling party had opposition. It was still like, who are we gonna be? Like, we're now free, but who are we gonna be? And the country is trying to establish an identity. It never failed that on at least once a month, the youth would be rallied for political rallies and political this and that. And after they sat down at the fairgrounds, at the rally grounds, they would be sent out. And they would be sent out into the community. And by the youth, I'm talking about high schoolers, some of my older siblings were considered the youth. So those guys, if they go to the rallies and they've been indoctrinated fully, then they'll be sent out throughout the neighborhood to go around. And what they'll be doing as they go around is they'll be singing these political songs. Whatever songs that our our liberation war fighters had been singing, those were the same songs that they were being taught. The thing is, we're no longer at war, So if during the war, the freedom fighters were singing songs like Toy Toy, like forward marching songs, and then you're taking a bunch of youngsters who never held a gun to fight for freedom, and you have them singing freedom forward marching songs throughout. These kids don't have anywhere to place that as far as when they look ahead to the future. I always found it amusing when my parents would, disallow my brothers to attend those things, because there was no point in indoctrinating a free young society to be on a war footing when they are not being prepped for war to go fight. Everything about their schooling, their education, their play life, their home life was rooted in them being a free generation. These are the kids who are being told, if you work hard enough, you can be a doctor, teacher, engineer, president of the country. But every Saturday you throw a big rally and you have them singing songs about forward marching into war. But what made it worse is they would send these young kids to houses like ours to grab their friends who didn't show up. So they would come to my father's house and they would be shaking the fence and they'll try to break down the gates so they could drag my siblings out. The only saving grace was that my father was a no-nonsense guy. He never allowed that. So if you saw someone coming to his house, you would be out there ready to meet them. And for the most part, these young men and women were smart enough to just march along past our house. And that's a thing that as a parent, sometimes you have to decide, okay, we fought for freedom, or we fought to have a good education, or we fought to come out of this neighborhood, or we fought for these things. But the opportunity that we've given our kids, what is it about? What is it that they might want for themselves? What version of a promised land are we helping them to, point their compass towards? Some things we do unknowingly, and they hinder and hurt others. But sometimes we can, if we're thoughtful about what we are focusing on, we can actually give others a leg up so they can achieve what is in their best interest. So to conclude my thoughts here, this is what I would say. If my idea of a promised land does not include things that are true, that are pure, that are honest, just, lovely, and good, then I am a very miserable person to be around. I don't even know how I can withstand my own company, because of all the work that I've put in to be where I am. And if I'm not focused on things that are true and pure and honest and good and just, what else am I doing? In the middle of the chaos that life on earth is and can be. I am glad that heaven heard my mother's lovely voice, took notice of her tears, and gave her a smile that still brightens up my world. And when I think about my mother, only good things come to mind. And I'll add the same thing. When I think about the way that my parents together invested in my young life, only smiles come to my face. We did go through some rough times as a family. There were moments there that were difficult for my parents, and we lost a lot. But I'm proud to say that towards the end of both of their lives, I was able to recognize in myself how much it meant to them that they invested in my life, that they put their interests aside, especially when I was young, and they worked hard together to help me to see, imagine, and visualize a promised land, what the future could mean for me on my own terms. I'm proud that towards the end of both of their lives, they were both proud of me, that their lives were full because my life, it turned out beautifully. So once again, I want to thank everyone who's been listening. I want to thank everyone who's listened to this one all the way through to the end of this one. I know it's not typical content, but it is what it is. I'm glad that you're finding it worth your time to spend, your valuable hours with us. Till the next one. Peace. Things are good. Let your mind rest on these things. In the middle of the uprising, I prayed that a voice might be heard. A tear would turn into a smile to brighten your world. You have come to the promised land.